I always wanted to be a writer since I was in school. But back then I wanted to be like a journalist. I wanted to, like write stories and professional favorite memories or
I'm very
because like
tempted.
if if you want to just
I'm very tempted to
ask,
say, tell me your favorite memory of बचपन में क्या
oh,
करते थे आप?
अरे बचपन मतलब also I haven't like performed in close to 3 years now. I haven't been on a stage in close to 3 years. And while a younger me would have hated myself for doing that, or would have missed stand-up comedy, I don't honestly miss it anymore. At the end of the day, you should do whatever you like to do that makes you feel better. As long as it's not killing people or causing bodily harm. So you can't just be like, hey, I like killing people on the street because it makes me feel better. And nobody's going to say, hey, yeah, go ahead, do it as long as your mental health is great. No, that's not the case. But
Hi guys, welcome to the Green Room Chat. This is going to be awesome. I have with me my guest for today, Mr. Amogh Ranadive. And Amogh has been a writer, a stand-up comedian. He has been working on a bunch of really, really fun things. But we're going to let him talk about it. Okay, so welcome, Amogh. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
thank you so much for having me. Huh?
My pleasure, absolutely. So, Amogh, let's just let's get to know you a little more. Tell me a little bit about yourself. It's a very open question, so go wherever you want with it.
I'm Amogh. I have been a writer for about fucking 11 years now, 11, 12 years maybe. I've been working as a writer since I was in college. So that was a long time ago. I'm an old man now. So, yeah, that's what I do. I write. I write funny stuff. Hopefully, it's funny for everybody else. I think it's funny. And yeah, that's basically it.
So, how did this begin? Like, you just realized that you have a passion for writing and click? What
Yeah,
happened?
I always wanted to be a writer since I was in school. But back then I wanted to be like a journalist. I wanted to, like write stories, and I wanted to work for a magazine and do all of that. And when I was in school, I interned for a tech magazine called Chip, and that was a lot of fun. But as I got into college, we kind of saw the decline of print journalism. Everything was starting to move online. So that wasn't really an industry that was doing very well, unfortunately. And in college, we used to have like inter-college festivals. I used to invariably be the person who used to end up writing the dramas for those for festivals, and that turned out to be a lot of fun because I didn't take it very seriously. I just made it as funny as I could, whereas everybody else was going all and all about, you know, like a moral of the story, and oh, we should be doing something about the garbage on the streets. And here I was writing about people who don't die on stage as quickly as they should. It was just stupid kind of college stuff, but people seem to like it, and that kind of started off the whole comedy writing journey for me.
Wow, that's quite a fun way of doing things,
Yeah.
and it especially interests me because when I was younger, it just thank you for reminding me of age. But since when I was younger, I really wanted to be a crime reporter, and I ended up
Right.
like studying criminology and then doing stand-up
Right.
comedy. It's weird.
Right.
So,
We all find a way, man. We all find a way into this business. It's crazy. But that's cool. Like criminology, like you studied criminology.
I did. It was like it was my specialization. But then coming back to you, all right.
Okay.
So although we are both in our stand-up comedy uniforms, which is the black T-shirt, let's
Yeah.
let's just talk about you a little more. So tell me what keeps you going, and like something that brings you joy, right? Like so, one thing that keeps you going, one thing that brings you joy, or more than.
Honestly, with the world that we live in right now, it's very easy to like stop going. It's very easy to be demotivated and all. And I know a lot of people all around the world are going through a lot of shit. And it's all I'd like to say is just hang in there. It will get better. Uh, what keeps me going? I don't know if there's like a proper answer to that, because I like to take each day as it comes, and every time there's a new idea in my head that kind of gives me the motivation to kind of realize it. So it's just a constant stream of ideas and thoughts that keep entering my brain, and then I'm just completely sort of immersed in making sure that the best version of that idea kind of comes out. So yeah, as long as your brain keeps working and your brain keeps churning out good thoughts, I think you're okay, and that's something that always works for me.
Well, that's very cerebral way of doing life, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, and what brings you joy? Like, what is it that you wake up in the morning and you go like, "Wow, I love this."
I mean, it's tough to again quantify that question, because you wake up and you look out of the window and there's not really much to bring you joy in the current day and age, if I'm being very honest. But I think you just need to learn how to like drown everything out and focus on what you're doing. For me, what works is every day when I wake up, I think about everything that I have done in the past and everything that I can do in the future, and just the amount of potential that is there, not just for myself, but just for good content to come out in the world. And that is something that kind of keeps me going and brings me some sort of joy.
That's sweet. So let's talk about your favorite memories.
Favorite memories, as in just in terms of stand-up comedy or in terms of writing, like professional favorite memories, or
I'm very
because like
tempted.
if like, if you want to just
I'm very tempted to
ask.
say, tell me your favorite memory of बचपन में क्या
Oh,
करते थे आप?
अरे बचपन मतलब उतना अभी memory, again like I said, I'm getting old, so memory is not really a strong point for me anymore. Like there's a lot of uh, days and weeks from back in the day that I have no memory of, and that's how you know they're great memories. The fact that you don't remember anything about them, you know that something crazy happened at that point.
Or some
No,
alcohol was involved.
sorry.
Or some alcohol was involved.
Sure, let's call it that. No, so in terms of favorite memories, I think uh, there've been quite a few iconic sort of moments that I will never forget. Uh, the release of my first show, the first time I went up on stage to do stand up, getting engaged, which happened late last year. So there are all of these kind of milestones that have happened. So I wouldn't say that there's one like specific memory that I really enjoy, but there've been milestones in my life that I hold really close to my heart, and these are just a few of them. If you want
So
to
how?
like ask, like if you want to ask about one like specific stand up memory, I think the only thing that kind of comes to my mind is this was at we were at Canvas. I think it was called Canvas Laugh Factory then, because it went from Comedy Store to Canvas Laugh Factory to Canvas Laugh Club to this place does not exist anymore because the owner is a fucking fraud who has defaulted a lot of people and not paid them on time and is possibly in jail. uh Trademark name, by the way. But back then, I think it was called the Canvas Laugh Factory, and I think I was hosting a show, and in the middle of the show, the power goes out. So the whole place is just gone in darkness. The mic is not working, the lights are not working, uh, and I think we just got the auditorium lights on, which were on a backup generator. So those were the only lights that were working. And I just performed without a mic for like 15 minutes, which was a lot of fun because I could see everyone. Uh, and I had to make sure that they could hear me. So that was really cool. Luckily, it went off well. So it was good fun.
Wow. Okay. So into the darkness.
Yeah.
So, so in terms of comedy writing, how has it been? Like, as you're a professional comedy writer, did I get that right, Amog?
Yeah, so I mean, I worked. I've been working with Weird Ass Comedy, which is Veer Das's production house, since I was in college. So I've been working with him for about 10, 11 years now. And we have done a bunch of stuff in the space of comedy. I remember when we started off, my first project with him was a TV show for Star World, which was a lot of fun. We've done live sketch shows at the Comedy Store and various other venues that we wrote and we performed in. And now, what we are doing and what I am personally doing as well is a lot more. screenplay writing. So I'm focusing a lot more on developing and writing web series and feature films, which are in the comedy space. So that's what the job is right now.
And you clearly enjoy it, and that's something that you
I
was.
I honestly love it, and if I'm being very honest, I kind of love it a lot more than stand up comedy as well. Like I was mentioning to Prashant from the Entertainment Factory, also I haven't like performed in close to 3 years now. I haven't been on a stage in close to 3 years, and while a younger me would have hated myself for doing that, or would have missed stand up comedy, I don't honestly miss it anymore, because I just find developing a story and writing episodes and writing like a feature screenplay, I find it a lot more fulfilling to myself personally. So and I'm still getting to make people laugh. I'm still enjoying doing it, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
That sounds good. I mean, you seem to be in that space where you're content and you are
Yeah, yeah,
just
absolutely.
pouring out your creativity.
Absolutely. I think that's what happens when you reach a certain age. Like I say, like I'm 31 now, and as I was nearing my 30s, I just couldn't care less. And it's just like, let's do something that I enjoy and I'm happy with, without thinking about, oh, what are other people in this industry doing and how I can do it better. And there's a lot of bitching and negativity that happens, which you after a point just cannot be bothered about. So I'm happy like doing what I'm doing right now. I don't have to like worry about what others are doing and have that affect me. It's I'm focusing on my stuff, and I'm happy where it's going.
More power to you, because I
Yeah,
personally think that the moment we get distracted with what other people are doing, our creativity goes for a toss. And
absolutely.
the quality of
Absolutely.
work just nosedive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So on that note, actually, like with all this, everything that's been happening in the world in the last few years, especially
Yeah.
COVID-19,
Yeah.
we see a lot of people wanting to explore writing as a career.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say to them? And I don't mean it from a point of view of advice or something like
Yeah.
that, but you've
I
been
mean,
through
do it.
that.
Yeah. I think if you think you like writing, you should write. Don't think of it as a career to begin with, because if you've never written anything in your life, or have never written anything that has been seen by other people in a professional setting, and then you just suddenly decide to quit your high paying corporate job just to write, then that's the dumbest thing that you can do. But if you think you like writing, then just write. Like there's nothing stopping you from writing, right? Like you don't have to write it in your diary that you keep it to yourself. You can write it on a blog. You can write it and put it up on your social media. You can do everything that you've always wanted to do right now, because all the tools are readily available. It doesn't cost you anything to put your work out, and just see where it goes. Just write something and put it out, and keep writing, keep working on it, and eventually you'll get better and you'll be able to make a career out of it. So don't like deny yourself the opportunity to write. If that's something that you enjoy, then you should definitely do it.
And there are so many people who write for solace. And is that something that you find interesting for yourself? Like, do you find
Write for what? Sorry.
write for solace?
Yeah. Again, for me, unfortunately, because I've been writing as a job for so long, writing for solace isn't something that works out for me. Like if I was let's say a chartered accountant, and this was my time off, and I liked penning my thoughts down as me time, as my leisure time, then that would be fine. But there's nothing wrong with it, obviously. Like writing is something that is so easy to do for anyone, and it doesn't mean that you have to be a fantastic writer if you're writing for solace. As long as putting your thoughts out in whatever form kind of makes it easy for you, it takes a load off your back, then that's great. Like it should be a nice outlet for you. There's so many different aspects that writing can kind of complete in your life. uh, let's not think about it as a job for a second, because it is not a job for a lot of people. And if you're good enough and you can make it your job, great, that's great for you. But even if that's not the case and it's not your job, but you still like it and it makes you feel better, then I don't see any reason why anybody should discourage you from doing it. At the end of the day, you should do whatever you like to do that makes you feel better. As long as it's not killing people or causing bodily harm. So you can't just be like, hey, I like killing people on the street because it makes me feel better. And nobody's going to say, hey, yeah, go ahead, do it as long as your mental health is great. No, that's not the case. But as long as writing down something in whatever way, shape, or form for whoever, whether it's private or public, makes you feel better, just do it. Like, as long as it's not harming anybody else, you should just do it.
Yeah, Killing for Solace would be like a dark comedy, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
totally get where you're coming from. So, before we wrap up this conversation, can you
Yeah.
tell me and tell all of us what you're working on right now? It's not a top secret.
So there's a bunch of things that I'm working on. Of course, two of my shows are already out on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Hasmukh is out on Netflix, so you can catch it. It stars Veer and Ranveer Shore in the lead. Then there's a non-fiction series called Destination Unknown that we helped develop, and all of us were performers in as well, which is also produced by Weird Ass Comedy, which is out on Amazon Prime. I have currently finished writing my next web series, which is an 8-part stoner comedy. And that is something that is being actively pitched into market right now. So hopefully we'll be able to sign a contract with the network soon, and we'll get into production whenever this virus lets us. And apart from that, I also have my own football-based podcast, which is called The Corner Flag. You can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever. You can just search for The Corner Flag, and you will find it there. And apart from that, there's a bunch of other ideas that I'm kind of playing with and developing, but that's too early to say. There's a short film, there's another fictional podcast, and there's another web series that's in the pipeline, and there's a feature film as well. But they're at very, very early stages, so can't really talk too much about it.
No, this is amazing, Amog. I think your plate is full, and I hope
Yeah,
it
yeah.
remains abundant.
Touch wood.
And touch wood, yes.
Yeah,
And with all the joy that you have, and it kind of
yeah,
shines through you. So
yeah.
there's so much of fun talking to you. Thank you so much for speaking
Absolutely.
to me.
Thank you
Uh,
so much for having me. Yeah, it was great talking to you as well. I don't think we ever performed together when we used to perform, but I'm glad that there's a lot of comedians doing the circuit now, and it's a good time to be a comedian. Maybe not because of, well, everything that's going on, but yeah, man, more power to you as well.
Thank you so much, Amber. That's so sweet of you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please, please do follow Amogh's work. It is phenomenal. I have actually watched it already, and I didn't want to like suddenly bring up and be the fangirl. But other than that, please do watch it. Follow him, and thank you so much for being part of the Green Room chat. And this is Shrirupa Sengupta, your host, signing off. Thank you.